Welcome to Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is the #1 filming location for Game of Thrones in the entire world. This land isn't just a backdrop for fantasy. It's a real place full of wild coastlines, misty forests, and ancient castles that have inspired stories for centuries. Northern Ireland is where every corner feels like a scene from an epic tale. Here, you can walk along cliffs that drop into the roaring Atlantic, wander through green valleys carved by glaciers, and step inside centuries-old castles that look straight out of a legend. So, why has this small corner of the world captured the imagination of filmmakers, travelers, and dreamers alike? Stay with me. By the end of this journey, you might wonder why no one told you about Northern Ireland sooner. From the air, it looks like a fragile thread between land and island. But this bridge has carried generations of fishermen and nearly 500,000 tourists, all while hovering above one of Northern Ireland's most violent coastlines. The Carrick-a-Rede rope bridge connects the mainland near Ballintoy to the tiny Carrick-a-Rede Island, whose name means Rock of the Casting in Irish. It spans 20 meters and hangs 30 meters above jagged rocks below. Fishermen have been building bridges to this island for over 350 years to reach the salmon-rich waters nearby. In the 1960s, nearly 300 salmon were caught here every day, but by 2002, only 250 were caught in the whole season. The current bridge, made of wire rope and Douglas fir, was built in 2008 and tested to hold up to 10 tons. Large caves under the cliffs once sheltered boat builders and locals during storms. Visitors who are too nervous to cross have occasionally needed to be rescued by boat. Carrick-a-Rede Island itself is the exposed neck of an ancient volcano shaped by eruptions 60 million years ago and carved by waves over millennia. Now, before we move on to the next destination, here's a fun question for you. How many counties are there in Northern Ireland? Comment your answer. Downhill Beach is one of the longest continuous stretches of sand in Northern Ireland. This 7-mile beach sits below high basalt cliffs topped by Mussenden Temple, an 18th century circular library built by Frederick Hervey, the Earl Bishop. The temple's design was inspired by classical Roman architecture and positioned so books could be read with a full view of the Atlantic Ocean. The entire coastal stretch is an area of special scientific interest because of its dunes, grasslands, and rare coastal plants. Bird species such as choughs and sand martins use the cliffs and dunes as nesting sites, making it popular for bird watchers. Waterfalls drop from the cliff edges directly onto the sand after heavy rain, creating a striking natural feature. Cars are allowed to drive along most sections of the beach, except for protected zones marked by wooden posts. Blue flag status confirms that the water meets high standards for cleanliness and safety, attracting swimmers and surfers. On clear days, the open view extends to Donegal, Antrim, and even the Scottish coast. If you are watching this, please click the subscribe button in the corner of the screen. It's completely free, but means a lot to us. Londonderry, also called Derry, is the second largest city in Northern Ireland and sits where the River Foyle widens before reaching the sea. Its historic walled quarter stands on the west bank, while the waterside area spreads across the east, linked by 2 road bridges and the modern Peace Bridge. The name Derry comes from the Irish Dwar, meaning oak grove, while Londonderry was added in 1613 when London's trade guilds helped build and fortify the town. This dual name still appears on road signs, businesses, and maps, reflecting the city's complex political and cultural identity. Londonderry is nicknamed the Maiden City because its walls have never been breached, even during the dramatic 1688 to 1689 siege. Walking the complete circuit of the 17th century walls lets visitors see the original gates, watchtowers, and cannons that once defended the town. Inside the walls, narrow streets lead to squares, cathedrals, and museums, telling the story of conflict, partition, and peace. The city is also a hub for the arts, having been the UK's first city of culture in 2013, which sparked new theatres, galleries, and festivals. Over 1,500 years ago, St. Patrick himself visited Dunseverick Castle to baptize a future bishop. The castle sits atop rugged basalt cliffs in County Antrim, offering a breathtaking view of the wild Atlantic Ocean. Long before the stone castle was built, an Iron Age promontory fort marked the northern end of one of Ireland's 5 great royal highways, Sligo Mid-Luachra. In the 6th century, Dunseverick became the seat of Fergus Mór Mac Éirc, known as Fergus the Great, King of Dalriada. Fergus was the great-uncle of the High King of Ireland, Muir Certain Mac Éirc, and the castle was the departure point for the Lia Fáil, the coronation stone taken to western Scotland. From around 1250 to 1350, the castle served as a manorial centre for the powerful Earls of Ulster, before later becoming a stronghold for the O'Cahans and the MacDonalds. In 870 AD, Viking raiders attacked the stone fort, showing how important Dunseverick was in Ireland's history. The castle was finally captured and destroyed by General Robert Monroe and Cromwellian troops in the 1640s and 1650s. A small residential tower survived until 1978, when it collapsed into the sea, leaving only the Gate Lodge ruins standing. Despite its ruin, the cliffs and remaining structures give visitors a sense of the castle's ancient strength and its connection to dramatic coastline. Power came at a deadly price. And nowhere is that more clear than at Dunluce Castle, a fortress clinging to a sheer basalt cliff on Northern Ireland's coast. Its walls clinging to the edge as if defying the Atlantic itself. The McQuillans built the first stronghold here in the 13th century, raising two massive drum towers to guard their land. For generations, they ruled as lords of the route, until two crushing defeats allowed the MacDonalds to take Dunluce by force. Sorely boy, MacDonald swore loyalty to Queen Elizabeth I and transformed Dunluce Castle into a seat of power, fit for a royal ally. When a Spanish Armada ship wrecked on the rocks below in 1588, its cannons were dragged up to fortify the gates of the castle. The treasure was sold to fund lavish Scottish-style improvements, turning Dunluce Castle into one of the most magnificent fortresses in Ireland. It became the birthplace of Randall MacDonald's granddaughter Rose and the heart of the earldom of Antrim. But after the Battle of the Boyne in 1690, the MacDonalds fell into poverty and were forced to abandon Dunluce. Its stones were stripped to build nearby houses, leaving only the dramatic ruins you see today. Perched on the cliff's edge, Dunluce Castle still stands as a haunting reminder that power, no matter how great, can crumble into history. They call Strangford Lough the Fjord of the Strong Current, and it's not just a name. Here, the tide moves faster than anywhere else in Northern Ireland, filling and emptying this vast sea inlet twice a day. Covering 150 square kilometers, it is the largest lough in Ireland and the British Isles, almost completely enclosed by the Ards Peninsula. Its waters hide over 70 islands and countless rocky islets, creating a maze of secret channels, bays, and mud flats. Formed at the end of the last ice age, the lough is shallow in most places, but plunges to 60 meters at its central channel. It was named Northern Ireland's first marine conservation zone in 2013, protecting seals, seabirds, and rare underwater habitats. The surrounding villages are linked by a ferry that crosses the narrow tidal channel, a tradition that has connected communities for centuries. For centuries, these currents also provided food and safe harbor, shaping life and settlement around the shorelines. Is this on your travel list now? Type 1 if you've been, 2 if you want to go. "50 million years ago, this coast was on fire. Rivers of molten lava tore through the land, then cooled into 40,000 perfect stone columns, as if nature built its own highway into the sea. Today, we call it the Giant's Causeway. Each column was formed when the lava cooled and contracted, cracking into shapes like drying mud. Most are hexagons, but some have 4, 5, 7, or even 8 sides. The tallest reach about 12 meters high, and the solidified lava in the cliffs is up to 28 meters thick. These stones create natural stepping paths that stretch from the cliffs into the Atlantic Ocean. Scientists have studied them for centuries, and in 1986, UNESCO named the site a World Heritage Site for its geological importance. In 2022, it was also chosen as one of the world's 100 most significant geological heritage sites. Legend gives a different explanation. The Irish giant Fionn McCumhaill built the causeway to fight a Scottish giant, Benandonor. In one version of the tale, Fionn's wife disguised him as a baby, and when Benandonor saw the size of the child, he fled in fear and destroyed the causeway on his way back to Scotland. Whether you believe the science or the legend, the Giant's Causeway feels like a place where myth and geology shake hands. Did you know one of Ireland's most famous castles was once thought to be just a ruin with no real story? Perched on a rugged limestone headland between Ballycastle and Ballintoy, Kinbane Castle has stood for nearly 500 years. Built in 1547 by Colin MacDonald, it was a two-story fortress that once guarded the coastline with pride. In the 1550s, English sieges under Sir James Croft damaged the castle, leaving it partly destroyed, but the MacDonalds rebuilt it, refusing to surrender their home. Colin MacDonald passed away at Kinbane in 1558, and his son Gillespie inherited both the castle and the weight of its history. Sorley boy MacDonald, Colin's brother, later gained the castle through a property trade, eventually entrusting it to the loyal McAllisters, who held it until the 18th century. Today, even in its ruined state, Kinbane Castle offers breathtaking views of Rathlin Island and Donegal Iron Age Fort, connecting visitors to centuries of history. The Mourne Mountains in County Down rise to their highest point at Slabh Donard, 850 meters above sea level. These granite peaks are part of an area of outstanding natural beauty, attracting over 50,000 visitors annually. The Mourne Wall, crossing 15 summits, was built to protect the water catchment for Silent Valley and Bencrome reservoirs. From the highest ridges, on a clear day, you can see all the way to Dublin, or even the Isle of Man. The mountain's names often begin with Slabh, reflecting the Irish word for mountain, a reminder of their Gaelic heritage. Legend speaks of Buarsh, a mythical shepherd said to roam the peaks, giving the range its older name, Bearch. The mix of rugged granite, lush valleys, and glistening water reservoirs makes the Mournes a paradise for walkers and photographers alike. Every trail in the Mourne Mountains feels like a journey through both natural splendor and centuries of history, blending myth and reality. You might think small towns are boring. Glenarm will prove you wrong. This little village has been home to kings, warriors, and even a castle that was burned to the ground. Glenarm sits on the coast of the North Channel and marks the southern entrance to the 9 glens of Antrim. Its Irish name, Glenarm, means Valley of the Army, reflecting its long history of battles and defenses. From the 5th to 7th centuries, it was part of the Kingdom of Dalriada, whose lands connected this coast with western Scotland. Viking raids once threatened the area, with a major settlement at nearby Larne, until King Conor of Ireland defeated them in 1018. The first castle at Glenarm appeared by 1270, most likely built by the de Galloway family. During the rebellion of 1641, Scottish forces burned the town and destroyed the castle, capturing the MacDonald leaders. The MacDonald family rebuilt it, and the current Glenarm Castle, completed around 1750. Today, Glenarm keeps its charter as the oldest town in Ulster, carrying almost 900 years of recorded history in one small place. We pull info from many sources. If you spot a mistake or have something to add, let us know in the comments. Maybe the reason so many poets, writers, and musicians were born here is because Antrim itself feels like art. Its cliffs are the brushstrokes, its coastline the melody, and its cities the rhythm. This is a place that doesn't just exist, it inspires. County Antrim sits in the northeast corner of Ireland, covering more than 3,000 square kilometers. To the east, its hills rise gently, but on the northern shore, they end suddenly in sheer cliffs facing the Atlantic Ocean. This coastline is home to the Giant's Causeway, a natural wonder made of 40,000 interlocking basalt columns formed by volcanic activity 60 million years ago. Antrim is also home to Belfast, the largest city in Northern Ireland and a centre of culture, history, and shipbuilding. The county is unique for its population too. Census records show a Protestant majority, one of only 2 counties in Ireland with this distinction. Antrim has produced famous names like actor Liam Neeson, writer C.S. Lewis, and football legend George Best. Even 3 U.S. presidents, Andrew Jackson, Andrew Johnson, and Theodore Roosevelt, traced their family roots back to this county. More than 100 years ago, Belfast built a quarter of all the ships in the United Kingdom, including the legendary Titanic. Its shipyards once thundered day and night, turning this city into one of the greatest industrial powerhouses of the 19th and 20th centuries. But Belfast is much more than steel and smoke. Here, Scottish settlers, Irish Catholics, and English merchants all left their mark, shaping a city full of contrasts. The streets still whisper of rebellion from the 1798 uprising to the struggles that defined Ireland's future. Belfast became the capital of Northern Ireland in 1920, but its history was not always peaceful. For decades, high-walled armed patrols divided neighborhoods along religious and political lines. Yet, out of that hardship grew a spirit that refuses to be silenced. Today, Belfast has transformed into a hub of culture and creativity. Its once busy docks now host film studios, hip cafes, and a sparkling Titanic museum. In 2021, Belfast was named a UNESCO City of Music, and walking its streets, you can hear why. Belfast is not just a place to visit. It's a city that invites you to feel its history, hear its music, and see how a place can rise stronger than ever. "60 million years ago, lava spilled across the Antrim Plateau, hardening into the 6-mile-long cliffs we see today. Binevenagh Mountain is what's left of that fiery birth, a masterpiece carved by the earth itself. Marking the western edge of the Antrim Plateau, the mountain rises sharply and dominates the skyline above Bellarina, Downhill, Castle Rock, and Benone Beach. From its summit, visitors can see the whole Magilligan Peninsula and, on clear days, even Scotland across the sea. The slopes are home to rare alpine plants and birds, which thrive on its rocky upland bog habitat. A forest road and walking path lead hikers through conifer woods before climbing to the dramatic cliff top. The view stretches across farmland, beaches, and the open Atlantic Ocean. The name Binevenagh comes from Irish and means Foibni's Peak, recalling the Celtic chief Tercheltar's son, who, legend says, was killed here. The area became famous for its wildflowers, and by 1725, its honey was so prized it sold for the highest prices in Dublin. Streams on the mountain attract otters, while red squirrels and Irish hares are still occasionally seen in the surrounding forests. "5,000 years ago, people built homes just steps from where waves now crash in Ballygally Bay. Archaeologists uncovered their remains in the 1990s, finding stone axes, flint tools, and shards of pottery left behind by these early settlers. These discoveries reveal that Ballygally was a thriving coastal community as far back as the Neolithic period. Its location provided food from the sea and fertile ground for crops, making it ideal for some of Ireland's first farmers. The layout of the houses suggests a small cluster of families living and working together. Ballygally is not just a resort village. It is one of the few places where Northern Ireland's prehistoric past is so clearly written into the land. Imagine a cliff so massive it looks like a natural amphitheater carved into the hills. That is Sallagh Brae, a sweeping horseshoe of basalt and limestone cliffs shaped by dramatic landslips at the end of the last ice age. When the glaciers melted, the softer rock layers gave way, sending huge sections of hillside crashing down. The result is a semicircular wall of cliffs that dominates the valley below. The mix of basalt, chalk, and Jurassic mudstone creates a patchwork of colors and textures visible along the rock face. Wind-scoured heath tops the cliffs, while the lower slopes shelter farmland. Sallagh Brae is both a geological wonder and a living habitat, where every cliff and crevice holds a piece of Earth's history. Strabane was once the most bombed town per capita in all of Europe. Today, standing on the banks of the River Foyle, it's hard to imagine how much this town has seen. The River Mourne runs right through Strabane, joining the River Finn to form the Foyle. This meeting of rivers has shaped life here for hundreds of years. During the Troubles, it suffered many bombings, including the destruction of its town hall in 1972. Even a major flood in 1987 couldn't wash this town away. Strabane has rebuilt and today connects Northern Ireland with County Donegal across the Lifford Bridge. Portballintrae is a small seaside village in County Antrim, Northern Ireland. Its name comes from Irish, meaning Port of the Beach Settlement. In 1967 and 1968, Belgian divers discovered the wreck of the Spanish Armada ship Girona near Portballintrae. Much of Portballintrae and its surrounding land belong to the McNacton family, including historic estates like Runcarry House. Portballintrae offers a mix of history, nature, and coastal scenery, making it a unique place to visit. County Armagh is one of the 6 counties of Northern Ireland and borders Lough Neagh to the north. The county town, Armagh, is named after the goddess Macha, whose high hill gave the town its name. Ancient Armagh was the territory of the Ulaid people, with Imain Macha as their capital. Saint Patrick is considered the first bishop of Armagh, and the 9th century Book of Armagh records his life and a complete New Testament. During the 17th and 18th centuries, Armagh saw guerrilla warfare and cattle raiding by local Rapparees. South Armagh was a stronghold for the Provisional IRA and earned the nickname Bandit Country during the Troubles. Today, Armagh is recognized for its apple orchards, historic sites, and its role in early Irish mythology and history. Larrybane Quarry is an old chalk quarry perched above the Northern Ireland coastline. HBO chose Larrybane for its towering rock faces and dramatic sea views. The site is easily accessible to fans and travelers curious about its filming history. What if I told you Newry has been continuously inhabited for thousands of years? Archaeologists have found Bronze Age jewelry in Newry, including detailed clasps worn on garments, showing the craftsmanship of early communities. Nearby Cork cairns in the Newry area contain cremated human remains, pottery fragments, and polished stone tools, revealing ancient burial traditions. By the 12th century, Newry was centered around a Cistercian abbey with dormitories, halls, orchards, and a graveyard. The abbey in Newry received a charter from the High King of Ireland, confirming its importance in religion and governance. In 1548, English authorities dissolved the abbey in Newry, and Nicholas Bagenal built a fortified house on the site, incorporating parts of the former abbey. Viking raids in AD 820 reached Newry, connecting the area to wider maritime trade and conflict across Ireland. Excavations of Newry's Abbey graveyard revealed evidence of violent deaths, indicating the settlement's turbulent past. Today, Newry's museums and archaeological sites preserve artifacts and structures, linking the modern city directly to its ancient origins. Did you know Enniskillen once resisted both Irish clans and English armies, controlling a key route in Ulster? Enniskillen Castle was built by the Maguire family in the 15th century to defend the island between Upper and Lower Lough Erne. The castle's location in Enniskillen made it crucial during English campaigns in the late 1500s, including multiple sieges and battles for regional control. In 1607, English forces captured Enniskillen Castle, followed by the Plantation of Ulster, which redistributed lands to settlers loyal to the crown. Cuchonach Maguire added a watergate to Enniskillen Castle, though changes to the lake later left it without water. The town of Enniskillen became a garrison, hosting 2 British Army regiments and fortifying local defences. During William III's campaigns in 1689, Enniskillen resisted Jacobite forces, proving its strategic military importance. Public executions at the Enniskillen jail marked the town as a center of military justice during turbulent periods. Today, visitors can still walk among the castle ruins and town walls, imagining the battles, sieges, and daily life that once shaped this strategic settlement. Built for Malcolm Hamilton and completed in 1619, the castle clearly shows Scottish architectural influences. It has a rectangular 4-story structure with corner turrets at one end and 2 massive round towers guarding the entrance at the other. Around the castle, a walled bawn was built with rounded corner towers, one of which later served as a dovecote. Before Hamilton's construction, the site held a Maguire fort, and a crannog is still visible nearby, hinting at its earlier history. In 1641, the castle briefly fell into Irish hands during the rebellion, before being retaken by Gustavus Hamilton, governor of Enniskillen. Records suggest it suffered fire damage in the 18th century and was eventually abandoned. Today, the castle survives almost to its full height, with its round towers and bawn still standing as evidence of the 17th century defensive design. Over 380 years ago, a single night of bloodshed at Tully Castle left 75 people dead and a grand home in flames. On Christmas Eve, 1641, an Irish rebel named Rory Maguire arrived with his followers, determined to take back lands his family had once owned. Most of the men were away, leaving the castle full of women and children, who hoped for safety behind its sturdy walls. Believing in a promise of protection, Lady Mary Hume surrendered the castle to Maguire, trusting that everyone inside would be spared. But the very next morning, that trust was shattered as the Maguires broke their word. "60 women and children, along with 15 men, were brutally killed inside the castle's vaults, leaving only the Hume family alive to witness the horror. Fires were set throughout the timber roof and halls, consuming the castle and every memory it held. After that fateful day, Tully Castle was abandoned and never rebuilt, slowly falling into haunting ruins over the centuries. Portrush is a small seaside resort town on the north coast of County Antrim, Northern Ireland. Its name comes from Irish, meaning Port of the Promontory, and the town is built mainly on a 1-mile-long peninsula called Ramore Head. Archaeological finds show that the area was occupied around 4000 BC during the late Mesolithic period. By the 12th or 13th century, Portrush had become a permanent settlement with a church on Ramore Head. After the mid-17th century, Portrush grew from a small fishing town into a major tourist destination in the 19th century, thanks to the railway and new hotels. The town is famous for its beaches and nearby scenic attractions. Portrush experienced bombings during the Troubles in 1976 and 1987, though with limited loss of life. Portrush combines coastal history, natural scenery, and recreational activities, making it a popular spot for visitors. In medieval Northern Ireland, Gortmore was part of a system called Ballybettas, designed to provide food and shelter to travelers and the poor. Each Ballybetta was managed by a steward, who acted like a local administrator and reported to the clan chief. Families living here farmed small plots and paid a share of their harvest as tax to support the system. This network ensured that no traveler went hungry, turning hospitality into a social obligation rather than a personal choice. Historic maps from 1609, 1652, and 1685 record the townland's name, showing its continuous importance through changing rulers. King James I granted the land to Sir George and Sir Richard Graham in 1615, making it part of the Manor of Graham. After the Irish Rebellion of 1641, the Graham family lost the property under Cromwell's land confiscations. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the land changed hands several times, with records showing leases, taxes, and weapons registrations. Today, the fields, streams, and rural lanes remain almost unchanged, preserving the layout of a farming community that once supported an entire clan network. Castle Rock is a quiet coastal village in County Londonderry, sitting where golden sand meets high basalt cliffs. Its wide beach makes it a favorite spot for walkers and swimmers in summer. From the cliff top, there are sweeping views of the Atlantic Ocean, Donegal's mountains, and even Scotland on a clear day. Visitors can explore the downhill estate trails, leading through woodland and open fields down to the sea. Portstewart is a coastal town in County Londonderry, known for its long promenade and sweeping Atlantic views. The town grew in the 1800s as a favorite holiday spot for Victorian families looking for fresh sea air. Its seafront is framed by rocky headlands that shelter the harbor from rough waves. Surfers come here year-round, thanks to consistent Atlantic swells that create rolling waves. Today, Portstewart is considered one of the most prosperous and well-kept seaside towns in Northern Ireland. Think castles are just fairy tale ruins? Think again. Carrickfergus Castle has never been just a picture-perfect backdrop. It was a battlefield, a prison, and even a garrison for 750 years. Built in 1177 by the Norman knight John de Courcy, it was designed to control eastern Ulster, and it worked. From its rocky perch, almost completely surrounded by the sea, the castle could watch every ship entering Belfast Lough. Its walls faced Scottish armies, Irish rebels, English kings, and even French invaders surviving siege after siege. You can still find the murder hole above the gatehouse, once used to pour boiling oil or stones on attackers. In the 1600s, the castle was updated for cannons, and some of those gun ports still stare out toward the water. During the Napoleonic Wars, it became a prison, and in both World Wars, it was turned into a military store and air raid shelter. Every stone here feels alive with centuries of marching boots, clashing swords, and echoing cannon fire. Visitors can walk along its thick walls, peer into its dark cells, and stand where King William III first set foot in Ireland in 1690. The castle has been restored to its Norman look, complete with a great hall that shows what medieval banquets were like. Whitepark Bay is one of the most geologically important beaches on Northern Ireland's north coast, with chalk cliffs dating back over 70 million years. These cliffs hold fossils of belemnites, squid-like creatures that once swam in the Cretaceous seas covering Ireland. The bay stretches for 3 miles in a natural curve, giving open views of the Atlantic Ocean. Powerful rip currents make Whitepark Bay unsuitable for swimming, which has helped keep the beach quiet and largely untouched. Whitepark Bay is also a key site for studying the layers of white chalk and dark basalt that shape the Antrim coast. Glenariff, also called Glenariff, is the largest of the 9 glens of Antrim. This valley was carved by glaciers during the Ice Age about 20,000 years ago. The area is known for its steep cliffs and views that stretch all the way to the sea. Most of the valley is covered by Glenariff Forest Park, which spans over 1,000 hectares and is managed as a national nature reserve. Because of its geology, biodiversity, and cultural history, Glenariff is often called the Queen of the Glens. Cave Hill rises 368 meters above Belfast, offering views that can reach the Isle of Man and Scotland on clear days. Its most famous feature is Napoleon's Nose, a basalt cliff that looks like the profile of Napoleon Bonaparte. The hill was once called Binevenagh, named after Matudan mac Muradaig, a 9th century king of Ulster. Archaeological evidence shows that the summit once held the O'Neill clan's crowning stone, known as the Giant's Chair. In 1795, United Irishmen Wolfe Tone and Henry Joy McCracken met on Cave Hill to pledge the rebellion of 1798. McCracken was later captured here, making the hill a silent witness to that turbulent history. During World War II, a German bomb exploded near Belfast Castle on the slopes of Cave Hill, leaving a large crater. On June 1, 1944, a U.S. Air Force B-17 bomber crashed into Cave Hill during heavy fog, killing all 10 crew members. Today, Cave Hill remains part of the Belfast Hills, with woodland that was planted in the late 1800s still covering its slopes. The Gobbins runs along the cliffs of Island Magi from Whitehead to Portmuck Harbour, forming one of the most dramatic walks in Northern Ireland. The original cliff path was designed by railway engineer Berkeley Dean Wise and opened to the public in 1902. The path featured bridges, tunnels, caves, and natural aquariums, drawing thousands of tourists in the early 20th century. Financial difficulties in the 1930s led to its closure before World War II, and it shut again permanently in 1954. It reopened to visitors in 2015, offering guided tours that trace the cliff face just above the waves. Storms and rockfalls have repeatedly damaged the approach paths, causing closures, including a long one until June 2017. As of 2025, the Gobbins has been closed nearly half the time since reopening, but it remains a unique coastal attraction when accessible. Spelga Dam sits in the Mourne Mountains, about 10 miles outside Newcastle, County Down. It was built between 1953 and 1957 by Laing and Sons, based on designs by Belfast engineers R. Ferguson and S. McElveen. The reservoir was created to supply water to Portadown and Banbridge, and it also impounds the River Bann. Its location in Deers Meadow makes it a quiet spot away from the busier trails of the mountains. Castle is a seaside town on the northeastern tip of Ireland, located in County Antrim. Its name comes from the Irish Ballygally, which means town of the castle. The town lies at the midpoint of the Causeway coastal route and serves as a gateway to the glens of Antrim and the north coast. The town has been named several times in the Sunday Times Best Places to Live list, and once won the Northern Ireland regional title. The River Foyle flows for 32 kilometers from the meeting of the Finn and Mourne rivers all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. It marks the border between County Donegal on one side and counties Londonderry and Tyrone on the other. As it passes through the city of Derry, the river is crossed by 3 bridges, including the modern Peace Bridge. Its Irish name and Feabhal links back to Irish mythology and the figure of Febail, father of Bran. The river has always been central to life in the Northwest, connecting towns like St. Johnston and Carrigans to the sea. But its vast, deep water has also made it dangerous, leading to many rescue efforts over the years. In 1888, Belfast became an official city after booming linen mills, shipyards, and rope making made it Ireland's largest city. City leaders decided the old town hall was too small and picked the site of the White Linen Hall to build a new one. Belfast City Hall was designed in Baroque Revival style by Sir Alfred Bromwell Thomas and made from bright Portland stone. It cost £369,000, paid for with profits from the city's gas industry, and opened to the public in 1906. Its big green dome and four-corner towers stand at the center of Donegal Square, marking the heart of Belfast. The design was so admired that Durban City Hall in South Africa was built as an almost exact copy. Kilcag, also called the Chalky Peak, stretches across Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. It rises 666 meters high, making it the tallest point in both County Fermanagh and County Cavan. Water from its southern slopes flows underground and emerges at the Shannon Pot, the source of the River Shannon. The mountain's name means chalky in Irish, though it is mostly made of sandstone and shale. Its summit has cliffs and is covered with bog and heather, creating a rugged natural landscape. Several streams vanish into swallow holes, joining the Marble Arch cave system beneath the mountain. Kilcag has a long history, once being part of lands granted during the 1609 plantation of Ulster. Today, it is home to many upland insects, including rare water beetles and water bugs near Loughatona. The trails across Kilcag show a mix of nature, geology, and history in every step. Hikers can see sweeping views of the surrounding countryside from the cliff-edged summit. Visiting Kilcag gives a real sense of Ireland's landscape, wildlife, and historical stories all in one place. Sorry if I mispronounced any place names here. The River Erne runs across Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, forming part of their border. It starts at Lough Gowna in County Longford and travels through Upper and Lower Lough Erne in Fermanagh. These two lakes are the largest expansions of the river and are central to boating, fishing, and nature tourism. The town of Enniskillen sits right on the river and is the main hub for visitors in the area. The river eventually returns to Ireland and empties into Donegal Bay. River Erne is about 129 kilometers long, making it one of the major rivers in Ulster. Its name comes from a mythical princess called Erne, adding a touch of legend to the river. Historically, the river was a key trade route, with steamboats carrying goods and passengers in the 19th century. The Shannon-Erne waterway connects it to the River Shannon, allowing boats to travel between the two systems. The river's lakes and waterways are perfect for exploring by boat, enjoying wildlife, and experiencing peaceful landscapes. Visiting River Erne combines history, nature, and adventure, giving travelers a real sense of Ireland's beauty. St. Anne's Cathedral, also called Belfast Cathedral, stands proudly in the heart of Belfast's Cathedral Quarter. It serves two dioceses at once, making it unique in Northern Ireland. Construction began in 1899 around the old St. Anne's Parish Church, keeping only the historic Good Samaritan window. Visiting St. Anne's Cathedral is a journey through history, art, and faith, all in the heart of Belfast. Donaghadee is a charming coastal town on the Ards Peninsula in Northern Ireland. Its historic harbour and town hall tell stories of Scottish settlers and 18th century life. The RNLI lifeboat station here is famous for heroic rescues, including the MV Princess Victoria in 1953. Walking along the harbor, visitors can enjoy scenic sea views and feel the town's rich history. Blackhead Lighthouse is near Whitehead in County Antrim, marking the northern end of Belfast Lough. It opens into the North Channel, which separates Northern Ireland from Scotland. Funding and approval took years, with debates in the House of Commons before construction began in 1899. Engineer William Douglas completed the lighthouse in 1902 with an octagonal stone tower 16 meters tall. Today, Blackhead is part of Ireland's Great Lighthouses tourism initiative. Cushendune is a small coastal village in County Antrim, Northern Ireland. It sits at the mouth of the River Dun and Glen Dun, with a sheltered harbour. The village was designed like a Cornish village by architect Clough Williams Ellis. The village's caves were even used in Game of Thrones, adding a touch of modern fame. St. Patrick's Cathedral in Armagh is the seat of the Catholic Archbishop of Armagh, the primate of all Ireland. It was built in phases between 1840 and 1904 to serve as the main cathedral for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Armagh. Before this, the original medieval cathedral had been taken over by the Church of Ireland during the Reformation, leaving Catholics without a cathedral in the city for centuries. The new cathedral's construction became possible after Catholic emancipation in 1829, which allowed Catholics to worship and build churches openly again. Choosing Armagh over this cathedral was symbolic because the city has been Ireland's ecclesiastical capital since early Christian times. The building stands on a hill overlooking Armagh, directly facing the Anglican St. Patrick's Cathedral, emphasizing its status as the Catholic counterpart. Architecturally, it is designed in a Gothic Revival style, with twin spires, pointed arches, and stained glass windows. Today, it remains the main Catholic cathedral in Northern Ireland and the administrative centre of the Archdiocese. Carnlow is a quiet village nestled between cliffs in the sparkling Antrim coast. Its harbour, originally built to transport quarried stone, still retains the charm of 19th century engineering. Two old stone bridges, one for each parallel street, frame Carnlough like a living painting. Rolling hills rise just beyond the shoreline, dotted with remnants of cairns that hint at ancient human activity. Fishing boats drift gently in the sheltered bay, creating reflections that shimmer in the morning light. The blend of natural scenery and human craftsmanship gives Carnlough a unique, timeless character. Perched on the County Down coast, Ardglass's harbour still hums with the activity of local fishermen. The village's name means green height, a hint at the gentle hills and scenic views surrounding it. Step back in time and you'll see Ardglass was once Ulster's busiest port in the 15th century. Walk past the old stone warehouses and you can almost hear the bustling trade of grains from centuries ago. Today, Ardglass blends history with everyday life, from cozy shops to seaside walks. Over 400 years ago, a massive tower house was built beside the Clanry River, with walls 5 feet thick and hidden chambers within. This is Narrowwater Castle, a fortress shaped by time, war, and legend. Originally, the site held a 13th century Norman keep, linked to the powerful Hugh de Lacy. In the 1560s, the Magennis family built the tower house we see today, a classic example of Irish defensive architecture. Each floor held secret rooms, staircases, and even latrines built within the thick stone walls, designed to protect its residents from attack. The castle faced destruction during the Irish Rebellion of 1641, leaving scars that still whisper of past conflicts. By the 1670s, it had passed to the Hall family, who would later build an elegant 19th century mansion nearby. Despite centuries of change, the original tower house was placed under state care in 1956, preserving its history for future generations. Tragedy struck the surrounding area in 1979, when a deadly ambush near the castle claimed the lives of 18 soldiers, the greatest single loss for the British Army during the Troubles. Narrow-Water Castle stands quietly beside the river, a sentinel of centuries past, inviting visitors to imagine the lives, battles, and stories it has witnessed. Magilligan Martello Tower sits at Magilligan Point, guarding the entrance to Lough Foyle. It was built between 1812 and 1817 during the Napoleonic Wars, one of 74 towers that once lined Ireland's coasts. Only around 40 of these towers survive today, and this one is among the most northerly. What if I told you this grassy hill near Armagh hides secrets older than written history? This is Navan Fort, once the beating heart of ancient Ulster. From above, it looks like a simple mound, but this was a royal site where kings once ruled. Long ago, a giant roundhouse stood here, filled with stones, set ablaze, and buried to create the sacred mound. The earth still whispers stories of rituals and ceremonies dedicated to the goddess Macha. Navan Fort appears in Irish myths, especially the legendary tales of the Ulster cycle. Its name, Eamhain Macha, might mean Macha's twins or Macha's brooch, hinting at secrets lost to time. Nearby, Hohay's Fort, the King's Stables in Loughnashide, complete a ritual landscape that stretches across the centuries. Every ditch, mound, and stone tells a story of power, belief, and ceremony in a world long vanished. You can walk these hills and feel the energy of a place both historical and mythic. Visiting Navan Fort isn't just sightseeing, it's stepping into a living legend. Slemish Mountain, rises dramatically in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, dominating the landscape for miles. It is said that St. Patrick, enslaved as a youth, tended sheep here and discovered his calling. The mountain is actually the remains of an ancient volcanic plug, its rugged upper slopes contrasting sharply with the gentle fields below. As Patrick prayed and worked on Slemish, he found comfort in the solitude and communion with nature. Legend says Patrick received a vision here, guiding him to escape slavery and eventually return as a priest. Slemish is part of an environmentally sensitive area, protecting its fragile plants and animals. Did you know that Queen's Bridge in Belfast has stood for nearly 2 centuries as a symbol of Victorian engineering? The bridge opened in 1843 and was later named to honor Queen Victoria after her visit to the city. It was designed by Thomas Jackson and John Fraser, with Charles Lanyon supervising construction after 1836. The 5 arches of the bridge are made from Newry granite, each spanning 50 feet with a rise of 10 feet. Originally 30 feet wide, the bridge deck was expanded to 62 feet in 1885, using cantilevered extensions. During construction, engineers debated whether to use a higher central arch or a horizontal deck, eventually choosing the latter. The bridge was completed slightly later than planned, but stayed within budget, a notable achievement for the era. Queen's Bridge not only connected the 2 sides of Belfast physically, but also became a symbol of the city's industrial growth. Queen's University Belfast began its journey in 1845 as part of a plan to expand higher education in Ireland. It opened 4 years later, alongside colleges in Galway and Cork, designed to offer education to Catholics and Presbyterians. The main Lanyon building, created by Sir Charles Lanyon, became an iconic landmark of Victorian architecture. At its opening, Queen's had just 23 professors and 195 students, yet it quickly became a hub of learning and research. Its programs now span roughly 300 degrees, attracting students from across the world and supporting cutting-edge research. Ulster Museum began as the Belfast Natural History Society in 1821, opening exhibits in 1833 for the public to explore. The museum's collection spans fine art, archaeology, ethnography, botany, zoology, and treasures from the Spanish Armada. In 1929, it moved to its current home in the Botanic Gardens, giving visitors a dedicated space for discovery. Today, the Ulster Museum stands as a vibrant center for learning, preserving both the stories and the artistic legacy of the region. Step onto Bellisle Castle, an 18th century island retreat in County Fermanagh. Its garden that stretch all the way to Lough Iernan's sparkling shore. Built by Sir Ralph Gore and expanded over generations, it blends history and nature. It welcomes guests as a hotel and wedding venue, letting you live a piece of Irish aristocratic history. Browns Bay sits at the northern tip of the island Meiji Peninsula in County Antrim, stretching just over 300 meters of soft sand. Its sheltered waters are calm, perfect for a summer swim or a gentle paddle along the shore. A small stream splits the beach down the middle, adding a touch of charm as it flows into the bay. Browns Bay is where the rhythm of the waves and the soft breeze remind you to slow down and simply enjoy the coast. Beckmore in County Tyrone is a Bronze Age site with 7 stone circles, 12 cairns, and 10 stone rows. Discovered in the 1930s during peat cutting, its stones date back nearly 4,500 years. Excavations revealed hearths, flint tools, and even a polished porcelainite axe, linking it to distant Antrim quarries. Many of the circles are paired, with tall and short stones forming a striking pattern across the landscape. Who would guess that Belfast's lifeline for clean water in the 1800s is now one of its most peaceful green escapes? The waterworks was once the city's main water supply, built in the 1840s to serve its growing factories and homes. After more than a century of pumping life into Belfast, the reservoirs were turned into a public park in the 1950s. Today, the waterworks is alive with birds, greylag geese, mute swans, mallards, tufted ducks, and even great crested grebes. Two man-made islands float in the upper pond, giving waterfowl a safe place to breed. It's not just for nature lovers. The park is home to a weekly park run, playgrounds, a community garden and sports pitches for soccer, Gaelic football, camogie, and tennis. Local volunteers still grow vegetables here, turning it into a shared space that feeds both people and wildlife. Walking routes wind gently around the ponds, inviting visitors to slow down and take in the water views. "18 graceful stone arches soaring across a valley, and trains still cross them every single day." Craigmore Viaduct, near Bessbrook in County Armagh, is the highest railway viaduct in Ireland. Its tallest arch rises 126 feet above the Camla River Valley, and its full length stretches nearly a quarter of a mile. Built from local granite between 1849 and 1852, it was designed by the great Irish engineer Sir John Benjamin McNeill and built by railway pioneer William Dargan. Each of its 18 arches spans about 60 feet, forming a perfect rhythm of curves against the green hills. When it opened, the viaduct was a breakthrough. It completed the Belfast to Dublin line, linking the island by rail like never before. Even today, it remains a striking feature of the South Armagh landscape, visible from miles around. Locals still call it the 18 Arches, a name as enduring as the structure itself. Standing near Craigmore with a train thundering overhead feels like watching history in motion, the spirit of Victorian engineering still alive. Did you know Belfast has its own leaning tower? The Albert Clock, standing proudly in Queen's Square, leans 4 feet off the perpendicular thanks to the marshy land it was built on. This clock tower was built between 1865 and 1869 to honor Prince Albert, the beloved husband of Queen Victoria. Its design came from architect W.J. Barr, whose dramatic Gothic style gave Belfast one of its most beautiful landmarks. The sandstone tower rises 113 feet into the sky, with flying buttresses, heraldic lions, and a statue of Prince Albert himself. Whitehead Railway Museum is a living railway workshop on the Causeway coastal route, just 15 miles from Belfast. The site belongs to the Railway Preservation Society of Ireland, which maintains and restores steam and diesel locomotives here. Visitors can see 5 galleries with exhibits on Irish railway history and step inside restored carriages and engines. Because the museum wraps around the working depot, you can watch engineers repair wheels, paint carriages, and service locomotives. In 2017, the museum completed a £3.1 million expansion, adding a rebuilt excursion station and visitor areas. Attendance jumped from 10,000 visitors in its first year to 15,000 the next, showing its growing popularity. Hidden on the calm waters of Lower Lough Erne lies Devonish Island, a place where history seems to float in the air. This small island is about 2 kilometers long, but it holds over 1,000 years of stories. In the 6th century, St. Moles founded a Christian monastery here that became a center of learning for up to 1,500 scholars. The island was raided by Vikings in the 9th century and later burned in 1157, yet its spirit still survives in stone. The most striking feature is its 81-foot round tower with 4 windows facing north, south, east, and west, each crowned with carved heads. Scattered around are the ruins of churches and beautiful 15th century stone crosses, giving the island a quiet, sacred feel. Today, Devenish remains one of Ireland's most iconic monastic sites, inviting visitors to walk among history and soak in its peaceful beauty. Tynan may look like a quiet rural village today, but its story stretches back more than 1,000 years. Its name comes from the Irish word Tuinean, meaning watercourse, a clue to the streams that run through the area. In the churchyard stands a beautiful high cross carved sometime between 700 and 900 AD. Nearby once stood Tynan Abbey, the grand 18th century home of the Strong family. The house was destroyed in 1981 during the Troubles, when Sir Norman Strong, a former Speaker of Stormont, and his son James were killed there. The estate grounds still hold a large cemetery with gravestones that date back centuries, some so old their inscriptions have been worn away by time. In 1993, Tynan was named the most well-preserved rural Irish village, a title it still proudly carries. Visiting Tynan feels like stepping into a place where Ireland's early Christian history and its turbulent modern past sit side by side. A 5,000-year-old tomb, perfectly aligned with the setting sun, still lights up every winter solstice. Archaeologists call it one of Ireland's most mysterious treasures. Welcome to Slabhgullion, the mountain where the past refuses to stay buried. Rising 573 meters above the countryside, Slabhgullion is the highest point in County Armagh and the heart of the Ring of Gullion. At its summit lies a small lake and two ancient burial cairns, one of them the highest surviving passage tomb in all of Ireland. Built around 3500 BCE, its entrance was carefully aligned so that the last rays of the winter solstice sun would illuminate the inner chamber. Inside, archaeologists found fragments of human bone, worked flint, and a barbed arrowhead, the last echoes of people who lived and died here thousands of years ago. Local folklore warns that disturbing these tombs brings bad luck, and even today they are carefully protected. Irish myths say the lake was cursed by the goddess Malukra, who tricked the hero Fionn McCumhale into swimming there, turning his hair white forever. On a clear day, the mountain rewards hikers with sweeping views across Ulster, stretching as far as Dublin Bay and County Wicklow. Climbing it feels like walking into a storybook, where every rock, every gust of wind carries the weight of ancient Ireland. Castlewellan Hedge is one of the largest permanent hedge mazes in the world, covering 2.7 acres of land. It was planted in 2000 with 6,000 yew trees, many set in place by people from across Northern Ireland. Nearly 4,000 school children took part in the project, turning it into a community effort. Ballintoy Harbour lies at the end of a steep, narrow road that winds past Ballintoy Parish Church and down Knocksaw Hill. The harbour is a classic raised beach, dotted with rocky islands, tidal pools and sea stacks that make it a favourite for painters and photographers. It is located along the B15 Coast Road, just 5 miles west of Ballycastle and 17 miles from Coleraine. Fishing boats still use the harbour, but it has become more famous as a filming location for Game of Thrones. The surrounding cliff path offers one of Europe's great wild beach walks, with dramatic views of the Atlantic. Musindon Temple sits dramatically on the cliffs near Castle Rock, overlooking Downhill Strand and the Atlantic Ocean. It was built in 1785 by Frederick Hervey, the Earl Bishop of Derry, as a library dedicated to his niece, Vridiswide Mousenden. The design was inspired by Rome's Temple of Vesta, and bookcases once lined the circular interior. Years of coastal erosion brought the cliff edge dangerously close, but a major stabilization project in 1997 saved the temple. Today, it is part of the National Trust's Downhill Domain, which also includes the ruins of Downhill Castle. From here, you can see McGilligan Point to the west and Castle Rock Beach stretching east toward Portrush. The site is open daily from dawn to dusk, with footpaths leading through the estate and down to the beach. Its setting has made Mousenden Temple one of the most photographed historic buildings in Northern Ireland. The temple is licensed for civil wedding ceremonies, adding to its reputation as a romantic coastal landmark. Visitors can also explore the wider estate, where open fields and clifftop trails offer sweeping views of the north coast. The Guildhall in Derry is a stunning red sandstone building where the elected members of Derry City and Strabane District Council meet. Its clock tower was modeled after London's Elizabeth Tower, giving the city a landmark that feels both historic and grand. The first town hall on this site was destroyed during the Siege of Derry in 1689, and the current Guildhall was completed in 1890 with funding from the Honourable the Irish Society. A fire in 1908 left only the tower and rear block standing, but the hall was rebuilt and reopened in 1912 with a magnificent new design. After an £8 million restoration completed in 2013, the Guildhall shines brighter than ever, welcoming visitors with exhibitions, stained glass windows, and a sense of resilience. The countryside near Caledon in County Tyrone holds a unique site, a network of historic stone walls that cut across the rolling fields. Known as the Caledon Border Walls, these low, rugged structures were built from local stone and used to mark the edges of farmland and estates. They are not military fortifications but practical dividers, helping farmers separate grazing areas and keep livestock contained. Over time, they became more than just boundaries. They shaped the way the land was organized, influencing how people worked, traded, and traveled between farms. Today, they remain part of Caledon's charm, blending culture and scenery in one peaceful view. Carrickfergus Lough lies between Northern Ireland to the north and the Republic of Ireland to the south. Its northern shore features County Down, the Mourne Mountains, and the town of Warrenpoint. On the southern shore, you'll find County Louth, the Cooley Mountains, and the village of Carrickford. The Newry River flows gently into the Lough from the northwest, adding to its scenic charm. Several small islands at the Lough's mouth are breeding grounds for terns, feeding in the shallow waters. Walking along its shores or sailing on its waters offers both natural beauty and a glimpse into local history. Carrickfergus Lough is a perfect destination for anyone who loves wildlife, mountains, and peaceful waters. The journey through Northern Ireland feels like walking through a living storybook. Each town, each stone, each wave telling a piece of its past. From quiet villages to towering cliffs, the landscape holds both beauty and memory, waiting patiently for those who come to listen. Even the air seems to carry whispers of battles, songs, and celebrations that shape this land. Every stop has shared a secret, a reminder of how history and nature are woven together here. And as the sun dips below the horizon, the colors of the sky seem to promise there is still more to discover. Thank you for traveling with us, and see you on the next adventure.